Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brad Perling. I'm the CEO and co-founder of bitfreighter. We're an integration platform that helps logistics companies connect to their shippers. And today I have a special guest with us. I have Mr. John Sutton. He's the Director of Corporate Strategy at Sunset. He's been the brains behind of their freight tech and building it out. And he really has the vision. So I want to let him introduce himself, and then we're going to get this call kicked off today and talk about their strategy around LiveQuote automation.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Brad. Yeah, I'm John. I'm the Director of Strategy at Sunset Transportation in St. Louis. A lot of my role and responsibility revolves around orchestrating a tech stack that is specific to what we do at a freight brokerage and all of the various areas of our operation that tech is capable of supporting. Whenever we think about tech, we have to think about the end-to-end, from the time that we prospect a client all the way to the time that we bill the first shipment for them, and everything that tech is capable of supporting everywhere in between, whether that's pricing automation, quoting, order entry, TMS orchestration, capacity sourcing, risk management in the way of carriers, shipment execution, visibility, and then back office automation. All of that is going to fall under my wheelhouse here at Sunset.
If you haven't met John before, John knows a lot about freight tech. He spent many years developing their freight tech strategy at Sunset. He's been on many different panels in the industry from different conferences and TMS events. So I'm excited to have John on here today. He's been an early adopter of bitfreighter from very early on, really believes in what we're doing, and they keep reinvesting in what we're doing to continue to add to the platform. So I'm really excited to talk about where you guys started with the platform and why you decided that you guys thought it would be a good idea to start automated quoting, and where you're at today. So let's just get the first question kicked off here is like, why automated quoting? What inspired you guys to decide that would be a good idea for your company?
Nothing is more inspiring than the feeling of losing. And I really do believe whenever they say that losing a Super Bowl is more memorable than actually winning one. And the reason that we got involved in this space is because of the sheer amount of freight that we knew that we were losing. We called them the Terminators at the time. We had a team member that had a large account through a large bid board that anytime that they would put a rate in on the spot board, they would refresh, and within 5 seconds, the rate that they had put in was immediately undercut. Our competitors were automating us out of clients that we had long relationships with. And effectively, the only way that we were going to be able to continue to engage with that client and their spot opportunities was by coming up with a Terminator of our own. And at the time, that's whenever, Brad, you all were getting started with the LiveQuote product. It was still very much in its infancy. We'd had a relationship with you all from a past life at the time, and both of us kind of had a chip on our shoulder, right? Like the LiveQuote and the bitfreighter team, they had the chip on the shoulder to say, this doesn't have to be this hard. And we had a chip on our shoulder to say, we don't want to get automated out of good clients. We need to be able to do this too. And that's when we had effectively started our partnership together to strike back at the freight that we were getting automated out of as a team, and begin incorporating the service not just into that account, but as many accounts as we could from there.
From a team perspective, how has the technology helped your team or changed their life in ways that maybe they didn't think it would, or maybe some fears they had leading up to putting into the getting the rules in place and the automation in place, and then going live with it, and then now today, like what kind of experience does your team have, and what has it allowed them to do?
It's a sensitive topic, really, the thought of surrendering what is traditionally considered a high-quality touch point, which is the act of engaging with opportunities on a bid board, over to automation. And I sympathize with that, and I respect that a lot. A lot of people, their pricing strategy is very important to them, and feeling like you are losing control of that is very uncomfortable. And if you know me, you know that I have an age-old saying that brokers only hate two things: change and the status quo. They hate the concept of change, but they know that the status quo isn't winning them enough freight. So you just have to get past that discomfort and understand that this is a tool that is not meant to replace you. This is a tool that is meant to work alongside you. You are still very much the expert in the room whenever it comes to pricing strategy, but also making sure that your pricing strategy is easily teachable. If you can teach another person how to effectively price that client, then you can teach a bot how to price that client. And now this bot is a very valuable tool in your toolbox. The bot works for you. And since we engaged with bitfreighter back in 2022, the last time that I had checked the numbers for February of 2025, last month, the bot had automated over 200 hours of nothing but just handling rate responses for accounts that, had we still been managing those opportunities manually today, that we wouldn't be seeing near the volume that we do today for those opportunities.
That's amazing that you're able to quantify those hours. I feel like that would be...
I've done it, Brad. I call it the act of swiveling, okay? On one monitor, you have either a bid board or an email. And then on another one, you have your preferred rate data source of choice, whatever that may be. And you're taking and cutting information from a bid board, and you're swiveling it into another monitor. And then based on the output of that, you then swivel back to your other monitor, and you punch that rate in, and then you back out fuel and do whatever you have to do. I've timed it. I've put myself through rigorous exercise. It takes 75 seconds if you can do it quickly. Closer to 90 seconds to even 105 seconds if you're a little bit slower at it. But I'm being very aggressive on that 75 seconds. Over 200 hours saved of opportunities that we would have had to manually quote had we constantly been having to swivel. And this doesn't calculate, things like bathroom breaks, getting up for coffee, needing to stretch. This is, I am locked in 24/7, 365, doing nothing but that. So over 200 hours, and it's something that we actively monitor as part of our ROI for the platform.
That's amazing. I heard you say something about engaging certain types of clients. Mm-hmm. What would you say would be the best types of clients to leverage this type of technology with?
You should be leveraging this technology in some capacity if that client uses a bid board in some capacity. There are two flavors, right? You have the large shippers that are starting to move towards real-time rating, which I'm sure that we'll talk about. And then you have a lot of the mid-size to borderline large shippers that are leveraging bid boards. And looking through some data the other day, we've historically done a census of our business whenever it comes to spot opportunities. Particularly asking our team members about their portfolio. Hey, for the list of clients in your portfolio that are shipping with you today, can you tell me how they send opportunities over? Are they sending an opportunity over email, or are they placing those opportunities on a bid board? And we saw that from the late 2010s through the mid 2020s, this large surge in clients that shifted away from email opportunities and over into bid boards. For Sunset in particular, 92% of the spot opportunities that we had available to bid on last February 2025, were available to us either through real-time rating or a bid board. And that is a drastic shift from just 5 years ago, where that number was about 60-40, bid board versus email. And I think that's a testament to how easy to access shipper TMSs have become. And most of those shipper TMSs, if not all, are going to have a bid board environment where shippers can place transactional opportunities for their brokers to be able to engage with. Now, of course, there's an asterisk next to that, right? There's as many bid boards out there as there are Pokemon. So as long as the bid board is eligible to be integrated with the LiveQuote service, then you should be looking at that service, even if if it just helps you to harvest the data and get your arms around what that shipper has. We have a lot of clients where the bot isn't doing anything, but it is still acting as an overwatch agent to intake those opportunities and be able to spit those out to us on a scheduled basis and say, here's everything that this client had on any given day, even if you don't allow me to automatically quote it. That data is infinitely valuable to helping to shape and guide your quoting strategy and your engagement strategy for that client one way or another, and the service affords you the ability to have it.
I think our audience will appreciate the Pokemon reference because there's a lot of bid boards out there, and the amount of tabs that people have to have open and being able to consolidate it into the one.
I call it tabsiety. You know, you can tell how many clients a broker has by how many tabs they have open at any time.
100%. So Overwatch, we've coined a term here at Bitfreighter you don't know about, John. It's called Sutton's Analytics. And yeah, you're a mastermind behind the data and the analytics and the Overwatch, and being able to just kind of bring it all together into a digestible format. You know, what is y'all's vision for that? Why is that important to you and Sunset as a whole?
In the suppressed market that we've found ourselves in for the past, couple of years now, your value as a broker that has quite frankly been commoditized. Service is a commodity right now. You can put me on record for saying that. Your value as a broker now goes beyond service. Your value as a broker now goes to engagement. And we have talked to shippers, and they tell us, they say, John, 75%, 80, 90%. If you're not bidding a certain percentage of my opportunities right now, even if I'm not awarding that freight to you, then you have no value to me. I need you to be a data point that helps me to make sure that I am getting a fair market rate to whomever I ultimately decide to award that load to. So if we're in jeopardy of being kicked out of programs because we're trying to be picky and choosy as a brokerage that can and will move anything from anywhere to any time, we can't be choosy. We have to be a broker that is highly engaged, and we're not going to be able to measure our levels of engagement without underlying data that can help quantify the number of opportunities a client had and the number that we actively engaged on. We're hearing a lot, not just of bidding expectations, that you have to be bidding on a certain percentage of freight, but also we're hearing about speed kills, Brad, as well, that after I receive at least 3 bids, after I receive at least 5 bids, then I have enough market information to be able to quickly get that opportunity awarded. And there is a lot of freight that a lot of people that aren't using a tool that LiveQuote don't know about that is hitting the board and getting awarded within minutes, because brokers that are leveraging automation platforms are getting fair market rates in there quickly, and that's being awarded quickly. And the shippers sympathize with that. They recognize that the longer this broker has the tender, the higher the likelihood of successful on-time pickup and delivery are. So why should I let it sit out there longer than I need to? Whenever the market rate is the market rate, I've got rates back quickly. Let's get a move on this thing.
Well, I can appreciate that. And John, you are probably one of the most knowledgeable customers that we have around our product and how it works and what the impact has been because you've been with us for so long and being able to help us build it out. So, I mean, having you on today and being able to talk about this is extremely valuable. You mentioned real-time rating versus spot board. Could you kind of elaborate on like the difference in what you guys are seeing from a customer perspective?
There is a line in the sand for clients that are wanting to engage in real-time rating. And we're seeing that line in the sand getting drawn in the way of volume in particular. We're seeing that around 400 or so opportunities a month, maybe 20 a day, where shippers are wanting to move to more of a real-time rating, direct interface into the ERP or shipper TMS kind of environment, and not even surrendering it to a spot board to intake auction bids. They're able to effectively rate shop their brokers of choice directly out of the TMS. And I really believe, like we talked about, that shift from the shippers that were preferring to handle their spot opportunities over email to moving to bid boards, the next great migration is going to be from bid boards to real-time rating as those services get cheaper and more accessible and made more accessible to shippers by the 151 Pokemon that are the shipper TMSs available on the marketplace today. And one of the things that we're seeing is shippers are using the real-time rating layer as an opportunity to not have to kick brokers out of programs that they've been in for a long time. They don't necessarily have to deliver bad news and thin their programs when they can just do an adjacent or a roundabout thinning of their program by moving to real-time rating, because they know that they have brokers that are not going to see value in that or are not willing to offer that service. So it is unfortunately it's moving away from a nice to have to a requirement here on the back half of the decade. And I'd love for you and I to have a conversation on March 6, 2030 to see if I was right.
Would love to see if you can predict the future. Now, as far as y'all's organizational structure around the tool, what does the organizational structure look like from a pricing analyst versus a floor level operator? How are you guys leveraging the tool internally?
Yeah, we manage it by committee. So each account, there's 3 different prongs of success. There's an executive that understands the value and the impact that the tool is able to make. There's the account manager that understands the pricing strategy for that shipment. And then there's a pricing team member that understands the market buy strategy for that shipment. Because don't forget that determining the sell rate is only one part of the transaction. That sell rate is a function of the inevitable market buy rate. And your pricing team has to be working in synergy with whomever that customer facing team member is to understand where they can go thin on expected buy rate and able to go thin on the anticipated sell rate, or where they need to be more defensive. We have those conversations every single day, especially during this part of the year. We are on our 13th different winter storm this year on March 6th. And each winter storm is a conversation. Each natural disaster, regardless of if that's a hurricane, tropical storm, winter storm, that is always a conversation. And that impacts our strategy not only on the sell side, but on the buy side. And then you have an executive that is making sure that those conversations are ongoing. And as long as all 3 of those folks are doing their roles and responsibilities for managing the account successfully, then you're going to see that actually in the output of that account. At the end of the day, we are brokers. There is a little bit of a Wall Street to what we do. And you look at this concept of a digital portfolio and how it's almost like a hedge fund in a way, where you have an anticipated yield and an actual yield as compared to how you buy and sell. The only thing different is that we're buying loads and we're selling them to trucks as compared to the other way around, like you would see a hedge fund do with stocks.
Wow. I think that anybody listening to this is going to get a lot of value out of just trying to understand better about the tool and how to use it and, the different strategies. I do have a question around the tool itself. I mean, I've been really interested to hear since you guys have seen it evolve, what are your new favorite features in the tool, and what are you guys most excited about?
I like to call it one board to rule them all. With the way that you are approaching this concept of creating a master interface that not only allows you to bid on all of the opportunities that are present on any bid board anywhere, but also unlocking insights related to those in the way of, have you won this load before? If you have won it before, how recently was that? What was the all-in rate that you won it at? And being able to tackle the problem of 50 different shippers having 50 different fuel schedules, and being able to empower team members that all you have to do is tell LiveQuote the all-in rate, and we will automatically do the fuel calculations for you. We are so close. There's this microcosm of these small initiatives that we've been working on from LiveQuote that are all about to come out of the pipe at the same time, and we can't wait to tell our users, guess what? You don't need 6 tabs open for this anymore. You just need 1 tab, and guess what? This 1 tab is capable of doing everything that those 6 tabs can and more. So we're very much looking forward to that functionality being delivered.
Well, that was extremely valuable information. I hope that our audience got at least something from it. I mean, you are obviously one of the most knowledgeable people in this space when it comes to automated quoting. You've been with us from almost day one on this project. of trying to bring all the load boards into one place, consolidate them, and the metrics that you guys have and what you guys are quantifying and being able to understand from an operational perspective, and being able to automate what was not able to automate just 3 years ago is impressive. And you're an amazing partner. You're innovating. You're thinking about ways to do this that we haven't thought of, and being able to partner together to work on this platform has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on here today. This information is extremely insightful, and I'm excited to share this with our audience.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks, John.